Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here at the BEEHIVE Cheese Company at the convergence of Davis and Weber County, South Weber and Uinta City, if you'd like, the Twin Cities. And we're here to talk about great cheese that's made right here in your hometown. Let's go in and see what happens. But the most important part is understanding the great food, the great people, and the great things that you can do close to home. Get off the couch, come on in, and let's see what they have to say. So truck goes into the dairy, and the dairy comes here and you pump it in this big vat, is that right?
Yep, this goes into our big bulkhead tank. Our milk comes from a single source dairy about 10 miles down the road, Wade's Dairy. Fabulous friends, they do beautiful milk. They milk at 9 p.m. We have milk in this tank at midnight. We start making cheese at 1 in the morning.
You're the owner of BEEHIVE Cheese, right?
The co-owner, Tim Welsh, is my brother-in-law and my business partner.
So tell us a little bit about you. You went from this media mogul of sorts in software and ended up in cheese. What's the story?
So actually, Tim was the software guy, and I was a real estate guy. And in about 2004, we sold our development, and Tim sold his business. And he called me up one day. We'd been thinking about doing something in food. We weren't sure what. And he called up and he said, "We're going to go make cheese." And I laughed. I said, "Cheese, I like cheese. I don't know anything about it." And here we are 10 years later. So it's been really a fun ride. We have 2 shifts. 3 of our boys, Tim's, 2 of his boys, and 1 of my boys are cheese makers. We make 3 batches in a day. We'll use up one of those big tankers going down the road. We'll use 1 of those a day. So this is our pasteurizer. So after the milk comes straight from the dairy, it goes through the pasteurizer, and we pasteurize the milk. It's what a lot of the smaller cheesemakers use. It's real efficient and real economical. Then it comes into this vat over here. This milk was pumped into this vat about 15 minutes ago. We'll add our cultures, our rennet, which will turn the milk to basically yogurt. We cut the curd with a harp by hand, and as soon as you do that, the curd and the whey, the 2 parts of the milk, separate.
We were here in the showroom of the cheese factory, and this guy, Gary, walks in and he says, "Where's my fix? You know what I'm here for." Is the cheese good?
The cheese is fantastic.
Tell us what makes it so great.
That guy right there. Honestly, I don't know. We live close by. We love to support local business, and they have a tremendous product. I don't think you can go wrong.
So milk, rennet, bacteria, and a whole lot of love.
That's right. That's right.
Tim's brother roasts coffee down in Grand Junction, Colorado Legacy Coffee Company. And we had some coffee in our little bags left over after Christmas time in our shop. And we thought, you put cream in coffee, why not put coffee on cream? And we ground up some coffee and threw it on the cheese. And we thought we were nuts, but about a year later, we took it to the American Cheese Society competition, not to enter, but just to kind of spread around to some of our peers and try to get some reactions. They tasted it and said, "Wow." We ran into a big grocery store chain in Texas, and he tasted it and on the spot ordered his holiday cheese. He was the first in the country to buy it. And from the very first batch of cheese that we made, we kept a will and we entered it at the competition the following year, and we ended up taking first place with that cheese, and it was crazy. This process that's going on right now is called cheddaring the cheese. He's flipping the slabs of cheese. About every 10 minutes, we'll flip these slabs for about 3 hours. Another way you can manage this curd, instead of allowing it to go into a slab, you can continually stir that, and that's called a stirred curd process. Jack, Parmigiano Reggiano, those are stirred curds, and you end up with basically just a bunch of cottage cheese looking curds, and then it gets drier because more moisture comes out, but lots of different techniques. A Swiss cheese, you actually press the cheese under whey So there's a million different techniques because there's a million different cheeses.
So whey is a byproduct, right, of the cheese process, and you drain that off, and what happens with the whey?
Our whey goes back to our dairy. They feed it to the cows. It's like a whey protein drink. If I bring in 10 pounds of milk, I get 1 pound of cheese and 9 pounds of whey. And so that's why cheese is expensive. It's a 10% yield. It takes about 6 hours to make a batch of cheese. Then it goes in the cave or the cooler for aging. But our typical batches of cheese go out between 5 months and a year, depending on the cheese.
So this is the cultures or the bacteria you said, is that right?
Bacteria, they're just cultures and they're living organisms. We keep these bacteria at 54 degrees below zero, and they look just like Dippin' Dots at the fair. They are just freeze-dried bacteria, kind of hard to see. But these guys, when we put them in the vat in the 88-degree milk, wake up and they are very happy because they're not at 54 degrees below zero, and they start multiplying. And what the bacteria eat is the lactose, or the sugar in milk, and they make lactic acid. And the acid is what drops the pH and what makes the curd and whey want to separate. It's a really simple process, fermentation.
How do you approach a grocery store or a cheese factory or someone that wants to sell the cheese? What's your recipe for success?
You know, the cheese speaks for itself. It's fairly easy actually to get into grocery store chains or chefs. The tough part is keeping it there because there's always something new and more exciting and whatnot. But the cheese is what they expect, it's consistent, then it just kind of grows systemically that way.
What's your favorite?
Well, my wife loves the chive. I'm kind of a plain curd guy.
So it sounds like you were sent down here to maybe pick up a fix for the wife, is that right?
Well, I was reaching for the chive before you pulled me over here.
That's fair enough. We met an honest guy, so that's great. Well, it's nice to meet you, Gary.
Thank you
very much.
All right.
I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an inspiration to meet Pat and the BEEHIVE Cheese Company. It's interesting, when you take the long way home, you can find a lot of great adventure. I learned a lot about chemistry, a lot about cheese making, rennet, and bacteria. Who knew that bacteria could taste so good? Get off the couch, get out, take the long way home, and you can find some great things too.